Hi students, and welcome to the video review. This is week 3 of the course, and we're going to discuss a couple things today just to make sure that we're all on track. The first thing we're going to talk about is your progress on the forum posts. Then we're going to go over Grammar Central, which is a new resource in the course. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Career Assessment Memo, which is your next assignment. And then finally, we're going to go over last week's lecture materials and forums. So to most of you, really great job keeping up with the pace of the assignments and the forum responses so far. I've really enjoyed reading your forums, and I think that a majority of you are just doing an excellent job responding to the forum. That being said, I think that the level of detail that you're all providing in the first post is pretty good. Some of you can provide a little more detail and go a little more in depth, but overall that's pretty good. What I want you to work on and think about a little bit more are the conversations that you're cultivating between you and your classmates with the responses. You know, when I grade that participation and professionalism at the end of the semester, I do focus on that first forum response a lot. I try to make sure that the first post that you have in every forum is detailed and has enough information, but I also look at your responses and the replies that you reply to your classmates. And again, that's just because these posts are our opportunity to have kind of an in-class conversation. This is our in-class time. This is how we communicate. So make sure you're really focusing on this reply response. I want to make a note here. Don't be afraid to start a conversation within one forum post. So let's say that you reply to someone's post. Instead of going and replying to 3 other posts, you can reply to this person again. So say you respond to your classmate by asking a question and she replies to you with more information. If you respond again, that can count as your second reply response. So don't be afraid, again, to start those conversations. As you all know, you must reply at least 3 times, but you can have that reply be within the same kind of post. That way you're having a conversation there instead of just kind of hopping around. You don't have to do that, but it's something you can do. And here's a little hint. If you're able to log on and post your response and respond to your classmates all in a total of about 10 minutes, you're probably not spending enough time on this. Again, this is our in-class time. This is how we communicate. So I'd like you to take your time responding to your classmates, cultivate these responses, consider them, watch your writing in the forums, because I do look at that. And don't rush and respond to 3 people all at once. You can take your time with that. The next thing we're going to be talking about is a new resource in the course, Grammar Central. And what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this up on Moodle so that you can take a peek. Alright, so I have here a little image of the Moodle course, and I have a big red arrow pointing to the new resource, Grammar Central. We're going to use this resource for 2 things. One, when I'm grading your assignments, I might post a note that says, refer to the rule about using hyphens and compound adjectives, and you can go here to Grammar Central and look that up. 2, there's an extra credit opportunity clearly explained here. If you have any questions about it, please email me and I'll fill you in. As you know, the next assignment in our course is the Career Assessment Memo. Remember, please let me know if you decide not to research companies. Many students have used this assignment to research military positions, Fulbright opportunities, Peace Corps locations or programs, graduate schools, and even the process of starting a business. So if you'd like to try one of those topics instead, that's fine. But again, please remember to talk with me about that before you get started. If you have a question about that assignment, let me know as soon as you can. Otherwise, just make sure to plan time for the assignment. It's going to test your ability to research content, plan and organize a document, design information, create sections sensibly, and write concisely. Additionally, I want to point out 2 new resources within the Moodle course. I added these after reading your introductory forum posts. Many of you said that you are really comfortable writing citations, but only moderately comfortable about knowing when to cite information. And I've seen students make this mistake before, and it really hurts your grade if you're not citing information when you should be. So if you have any doubts at all, just take a look at these resources. They're quick, they're easy. I know that they're from UNC, but they're not related to their football team, so don't worry, they're good. If you have any questions about this, of course, let me know. Just in general, remember if you quote or summarize words, thoughts, facts, or other information from another source without citing that source, you are plagiarizing. And these resources have more details about that. Before we go, I want to answer a few questions and address some really good comments from last week's lectures and forums. The first one is, where does the summary, task, or discussion belong, and do I use all three? In a memo, as we went over in the lecture, something that's used a lot is summary, task, and or discussion, and this is in the closing of your memo. It's within that last paragraph or last section area, and what you want to do is think about your audience, think about your content and your purpose, and consider what would work best. So for example, if you have a really short memo, the summary might not be necessary because there might not be a lot of information to summarize, but you could leave your readers with a task. Say, ask them to go sign up for the new program that the memo is talking about, or ask them to email you if they have any questions, things like that. So you don't need to use all three. You could, if it was a very large memo and you wanted to cover all three of these, you could, but a lot of times you're just using one or two, maybe summary and task or summary and discussion. And again, these belong near the closing of a memo, and it's a great way to leave your readers with the content that you want them to be thinking about once they're finished reading the memo. The second one, I wanted to point out that many of you talked about how you can use your time to plan to write an outline. And I just really wanted to congratulate a lot of you for thinking of that and point that out to some of you who might not have seen those forum posts. The idea of writing an outline, especially for documents and business writing, taking those couple minutes to just outline your thoughts can be the difference between a poor document and a great document, because that outline is helping you to section information, to decide what your purpose is and what you need to include. So really great job to those of you who thought about that. Another point I thought was really great and something that I'd like to really encourage all of you to try, returning to an assignment a day or so later and then reading it after giving yourself some time away from it is a great way to analyze it again when it's not so fresh in your mind. And that really helps when it comes to cutting out some of those wordiness problems. If you're working on concise writing, I highly recommend that you try this. Finish your document and then come back 24 hours later, at least a day later, and reread it and notice what kinds of phrases you're using that you can cut out. And eventually you won't have to give yourself so much time. I'm not saying that once you get into the business world you're going to write a memo and then come back a day later and send it to your colleagues, but for now, for this class, it's a great way to practice some of the strategies we've been talking about writing concisely. It'll help you understand what kinds of phrases you're using that you could really cut out. So great job to those of you who brought that up. Yes, it's a great idea to use time, put some space between the editing, and return to that assignment 24 hours later and reread it then. That'll really help. I wanted to go over this idea that less can be more. That's so true in business writing. We've talked about this a lot. When you're trying to be professional, you can often say more with less. You're trying to be concise. However, and this is very important, I don't want you all to think that this means that we cut out all the details. We're not trying to cut out content here. We're just trying to cut out wordiness. So if you find yourself deleting important information because you want your paragraph to be smaller, that's not good. So especially with this career assessment memo coming up, make sure you're providing your audience with the information they need. What you're trying to cut out for less is more, or for concise writing, are those wordy phrases or the information that doesn't relate to your audience or to the purpose of your document, things like that. So remember, less is more, but that doesn't mean that you're cutting out content. Finally, I just wanted to bring this up because I thought this was a great point. In one of the posts, someone was talking about how the idea that wordiness might be something that you've kind of learned over the years because of those assignments that say, write a 15-page paper on this. And so to get to those 15 pages, I'm sure we've all gone through and added a couple of, because of this, or phrases like that make things just a little bit longer so you can stretch to those 15 pages. And so yes, that's very true. Wordiness is something that we have learned to use in order to reach those page requirements. You will see in this class that I often provide you with page suggestions. So I'll say things like, the career assessment memo should be between 3 to 5 pages. And when I say that, I'm suggesting that because you all have different audiences, you're all covering different topics, so some of you are going to need more pages, some of you will need fewer pages. And if you are getting your message across, getting the purpose of your assignment across, providing me with all the details, shorter is better. So do not feel like when you see that page requirement, you need to keep adding phrases in and adding content in to get to those 5 pages. Your goal is to share the purpose of the document with the audience in a way that provides them with enough detail and to do it concisely. So do not try to stretch page limits, only use what you need. Alright, I wanted to thank you all again for watching this quick summary video, and of course, let me know if you have any questions. Have a great week. Bye.